Everybody settled and ready. Hopefully you can see this in the feed, and our techie guys are going to check that this is all on feed. We're streaming tonight on YouTube on the LinkedIn event page. So if you're there, please let us know where you're calling from, where you're watching from. We're going to put the chat in here as well. So if you want to engage with us, ask questions as we go, please put it in the chat. Just whilst we're waiting for everybody to join, please let us know in the chat that you're here and where you're from. Let's see if we can get, I think the record is we had somebody on every continent. Hi, Sean. Welcome. Hi. London. Brilliant. Light Collective from Birmingham. Awesome. Helena from Plymouth. We're going to start in a few more minutes. We're just going to wait for everybody to kick in. I started early. You've got time for three things. You've got 2 minutes to get a brew, a notepad, and have a wee. Go do that. Hi, Lawrence. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Veronica. Some familiar faces there. Hi, Gary. Hi, Gary Pine. I invited you tonight, actually. Welcome. From Paris, Clapham, Plymouth. Awesome. Oregon, London. Awesome. So we're going to start in 1 more minute. So grab notepads and pens. I've got a lot to go through tonight. So if you want any of the slides, you can email us. I'll put the email on screen. So if you need any of the slides, you can email us and we'll send them through to you. I'm going to reference some things during tonight's session. If you want them, you can email us too. And there's something else housekeeping wise. If you get value from our training sessions, these free webcasts, I'd really appreciate it. If you're watching on LinkedIn right now, go follow our company page. And if you're watching on YouTube, go follow our YouTube channel. All of that would be good. Eric from Miami Beach. Oh, Eric. My most favorite place in the world is Miami. Most favorite place in the world. If you watch my video this morning with LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, I actually was wearing a Miami Marlins baseball cap. A lot of people thought it was from Maverrik. Hi, Rushab. Oh, Rushab, hi. So lots of familiar names here. Kent, London, California from Gina, and Diane from Oregon. So, okay, we're going to start. And I've got some slides, but I'm also experimenting. So I'm going to get the whiteboard out and just kind of throw some stuff on here as well as we go. Hi, Hanifa from South Africa. Awesome. So everybody ready? Everybody ready? We're going to start. So first things first, if you've never been to this session before, hi, Katie from Portsmouth. If you've never been to one of our sessions before, just be aware, we do these sessions to help you. We give free resources. Yes, we've got paid things, and yes, we'd love you to join them, but actually we want to give you some value in this free session. So don't be expecting a hard sell afterwards. If you're interested, we're here. So Maverrick's mission as a business, whilst obviously getting customers and making sales, one of our business goals is to help 1 million businesses grow revenue, margin, and profit. And through our webcasts, we're aiming to hit that 1 million mark, but also through our paid programs too. Johannesburg. And Kathy, I'm excited you're here too, Kathy. So let's kickstart. Get your notepad ready, scribble anything down. Here's something really important, by the way. Despite us being in a technological and digital age, we actually recall information more if we write it down. That's like proven. So if you write something down, you're more likely to remember it. 20% of all training is actually retained. So the bits that are really important from tonight, write them down. That's absolute critical. The bits that are not so important, you don't have to write everything down. And if you want a replay, we can send you the replay too. Hi, Margaret from Guildford. Okay, so just a quick intro. This is one of the methodologies that we use to help businesses grow, to help people reach more people, to help people engage with bigger audiences. It's our methodology. It kind of works in sales, it works in marketing, it works in thought leadership, it works everywhere. And it's basically the fundamental to you achieving your objectives with social thought leadership comes down to positioning, having a plan, getting the attention, getting the interest, and having a results mechanism, an activity plan that delivers results. So if you want to know more about this methodology, check out our website or email us and we'll tell you about it. But we're going to use elements of this tonight to explain how you can use thought leadership to further your business goals. Whether you're looking to sell things, whether you're looking to just get your name out there, whether you're looking to get more speaking slots or podcast slots, people want you because you demonstrate some kind of thought leadership, some insight that you can give that other people want to hear. So we're going to use elements of this methodology to do it tonight, and you'll spot some of them. Some of them will be hidden away a little bit, but you'll spot some of them. So first things first, what is and why social thought leadership? So let's just get to the basics here. Yeah, social thought leadership is, in other words, using social media to demonstrate a level of expertise, a level of knowledge that allows you to exert influence on a market or industry. So this is the key thing that you should be doing. It's about demonstrating your expertise and showing people that you know what you're talking about. You don't have to put certificates and letters after your name. You actually earn that leadership position. So you don't get it because of your qualifications, you actually get it because of your expertise, your experience coming through in what you do. So really important in this scenario, you have to help people see it for themselves. You can't just declare yourself a thought leader. You can't just declare yourself an industry leader. There has to be a group of people who get it and see it for themselves. I love to say that the things like thought leader or industry leader are things that some people say about you. It's not something you generally say about yourself. Some people disagree with me on that, but I think it's absolutely important that other people say that about you, not you say it about yourself. A bit like on Instagram, there are people who declare themselves influencers, and maybe we'll come to this a little bit later. They declare themselves influencers, but when they go to a brand pays them to try and sell something through their Instagram, the brand sells nothing. So really, it's about the genuine reality of building a leadership position where you're recognized and people respect you for what you deliver and the value you bring. Everybody still with me? Everybody still with me? Good. So here's the first series of questions I want you to answer on your piece of paper. Why do you want to do social thought leadership? Why do you want to do social thought leadership? And it comes down to 3 key questions. Who do you want to be seen as a thought leader by? Who do you want to see you and recognize you as a thought leader? Who are those people? Who are those people? It's really important you dig in and find out who those people are that you want to be a thought leader or seen as a thought leader to. So is it the manufacturing industry? Well, who in the manufacturing industry? The HR director? Or is it the CEO? Is it the salespeople? Is it the marketing people? Who in the manufacturing world do you want to be a thought leader for? Who? That's really, really important. What are you going to be a thought leader about? Yeah, not just manufacturing. What bit? What's the key topic? What's the key mission of your thought leadership? And if you look at most of the people we recognize as big, mammoth, titan thought leaders these days, they all start with one key theme. What's your one key theme? Is it equality for people of all genders in manufacturing? Is that what you're championing? Is that what you want to be a thought leader on? What's the thought leadership piece you want to do? How can you define it? Is it for HR directors in manufacturing? And what's the key message? What's the key fundamental message that you've got, that you are passionate about, that you want to share with the world? That's number 2. So who, the what, and now the why. Why do you want to do this? And we'll come to this in a little bit, but what's your motivation? Because it's really important that you pin this down. Nick will forgive you for being a little bit late. I was on a call with Nick earlier today. Why do you want to do it? And we'll go into the mechanics and what I call the end game of thought leadership in a little while. But it's really important you pin down why you're doing this. Because sometimes what we do is we do something and we disconnect the mechanisms and then end up in a situation where we feel frustrated that we're not getting things that we want, but we're actually doing the opposite. So say, for an example, I want to be a thought leader because I want to get more consultancy, and I don't make it clear that I'm a consultant about this topic. I will get loads of people loving what I'm doing and very few people buying it. That makes sense. So you need to understand why are you doing this? Are you doing the thought leadership piece to get more speaking gigs? Are you doing the thought leadership piece because you want to change careers? Are you doing the thought leadership piece because you want to sell more stuff? Why are you doing it? Because if you go, actually, I'm doing it to sell more stuff, and you don't make it clear that that's part of your piece, you might get loads of speaking gigs and get naffed off. That's an old saying. You might get naffed off when you're not getting the sales. You have to build the mechanics, and we'll talk about the end game of thought leadership in a second. So you need to map out who are the people, what are the key topics you want to do. Hint, hint, by the way, these key topics probably need to correlate to your outcome that you want from this exploit, from developing yourself as a thought leader on social media. So now let's look at your positioning. Let's have a look at your positioning. We've asked some questions. So now what's your end game? What's your end game? You do this thought leadership stuff. What do you want out of it? Is it consulting gigs? Is it speaking? Is it podcasts? What do you want from this? It's really important that you know what your primary goal is, because speaking gigs alone will not sell. They'll get you a lot of authority and expertise, but if you don't build in your offer, your way you working. So a lot of thought leaders, they actually do workshops. So they do corporate workshops, they develop their expertise, and then they do closed shop corporate workshops, high value. That's what they do. The big influencers. That's what they do. What's the key mission? What's going wrong in the sector or industry or subject that you want to fix? Yeah. What's your mission? Why is it your mission? You need to understand this. You can't just go in and go, hey, I'm going to wake up this morning, I'm going to be a thought leader, and you're going to randomly do stuff. You need to know why you're doing this. What's the driving force? What do you see what's the cause you want to champion? What's that thing that gets you up and if you could, you do it for free every single day? What is that? Is it you want to solve an issue in the industry? Is it you're frustrated by a way an industry works? Is it something local? Is it something geographic? Is it something in an area you're trying to focus on? What's the mission? So some people could go, actually, I want to be a champion for building out the manufacturing industry in Birmingham. Yeah, and you can develop your influence around that topic and that area. But you have to have a mission that you will stick to, you're passionate about, and will drive and fight for, like it's your fight for survival. It's something you believe in. It's a cause. Yeah, people don't buy into thought leaders unless they have a cause or a passion. Yeah, that's what they're going for. They see people are passionate about changing something and their message resonates with others. And others jump on board and say, I want to be part of that because I see that this person believes what they're saying. And then what do you want to solve? This is really important, really, really important. This mission, the end game, and what you want to solve combine to create your message. They create your message. So what's the problems you want to fix? What's the mission you're on? Donald Trump, you may not like him. He's a questionable character, but he landed a mission, questionable as it was, make America great again. He had a mission and people went, actually, I can get behind that. Millions of people got behind him for that. Make America great again. You might not agree with it. We don't all agree with it. But what I'm saying is he did this bit very, very well. He had a mission and he wanted to fix things, drain the swamp. And he mentioned all of these other things. I don't know whether he actually did any of the stuff he said, but that's what he tried to do. That's what he was saying. And people bought into it because they believed that that's what his mission was. That's what he wanted to do. So you need to know what's your end game. So he was running for president because he wanted to make America great again, and he wanted to drain the swamp and da 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 da. What's yours? What's your end game? You want to be a consultant. You want to get more sales. You want to consult with bigger businesses. You want to sell more stuff. You want to be in more magazines. You want to be on more press. What's your end game? Yeah, you can have multiple end games, but generally speaking, it's one's the priority and the other ones fall below. What's the mission? What's your mission? And then what are the issues around that mission that you want to solve, that you want to fix? These are the posts. These are the content. This is the cause. And this is how you want to change it. And this is how you can help other people change it. So these 3 things are key in building your social thought leadership. I'll just have a breather now. If anybody wants to ask any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Hello, Louise. Hello, Nick. Hello, Nito. Hello, Graham. I'll have a little breather because I got a bit passionate about this bit. So this is really important. So let me just note this down so that we can see it in more detail. So mission, we'll put this up. End game. So the end game is consulting. Okay, the mission. Make manufacturing great again in Birmingham. So I want to consult, but my mission is to make manufacturing great again in Birmingham. Does everybody see that makes sense? Hopefully we can see that on screen. It's a little, I need to write a bit thicker. And then finally, what problems do you solve? So lack of industrial buildings, skills shortage, apprenticeships. I'm just pulling this together as I'm doing it here. Yeah. So in this scenario here, as you can see, the end game is you want to consult, provide consulting services, as well as obviously carry out your mission, but make manufacturing great again in Birmingham. And the problems, the reasons why, the things you have to fix to make that happen are a lack of industrial premises, skills shortage, apprenticeships, attracting businesses. Attracting businesses. So you can see quite quickly, you can start to build up the message just off, this is what I'm doing. So it's quite clear, wherever you're going to promote this, whether it be LinkedIn, whether it be Facebook, wherever you're going to do this, your goal is to get more consulting work, but your cause is this. And these are the key issues that you're going to help people solve. Make sense? Hopefully it does. So this is the positioning. So now with this positioning, you need 1,000 people. 1,000 people. Now, some of you saying that to me will go, 1,000 people? That seems like an awful lot of people. And then there'll be other people watching this of going, 1,000 people? That sounds like a tiny amount of people. Well, there's a great book called, I think it's called Superfans. And basically the number of people you need who believe in your cause around you is 1,000 people. Now, in some social channels, 1,000 people is quite hard, but Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, these are brilliant ways to get round 1,000 people. And I don't mean just literally friend request them. I mean, you have to communicate, you have to interact with them and build this up so that these 1,000 people know your name. Yeah, they know you exist. And they know what you're passionate about. You update your LinkedIn profile, you update your Facebook profile, you update your Twitter to say this is what you're about. And then your content is built off this that we put up here. the end game, the mission, and the problems. And then you go out and you do your content, you build your network, you engage with those people. So who are those people? Who are those people? If you're doing this Make Manufacturing Great Again in Birmingham, number one, you need manufacturing business owners. There'll be manufacturing business groups too. Fan theory, yeah, Charlie P. There'll be business groups. Get into the middle of them. There'll be local authority members of staff at the local authority charged with it. Get to know who they are. And share content wherever you are connected with those people. Share content about these issues, ideas, asking for their opinions, share insights you've learned, and then we'll go into something else in a minute. But it has to be the right people. 1,000 people who are not interested in manufacturing, 1,000 people who are not resonating with any of the problems in the manufacturing sector are a waste of time. It's pointless. It has to be the right people. We'll come to how to implement this in a minute. We'll go to implementing it in a minute. But there's a few more bits I want to walk you through before we start getting to the actionable steps. So as we're looking at this one here, we can see that there's probably a good chance that this is a LinkedIn and Twitter kind of strategy here. Businesses are very much on Twitter and businesses are very much on LinkedIn. So this could be a huge strategy for there. If it was more consumers or mums or parents, you could do that on Facebook. There's loads of Facebook groups out there you can join. So it's about finding the right space for the right people with the right message. But it all starts with you understanding the key messages you want to do. And what you may do is, as you go through this section here, you may actually list loads of them, but there are some that are not relevant to you. There are some that you don't want to speak on. It might well be that you're passionate about upskilling people and getting more people to see the value of the trades. It's up to you to see where that is. It's up to you to define which ones you're passionate about and which ones you're not. But if there's a problem in these industries or in these sectors or in this geography, you can map this out. And 1,000 people is not a big deal with social media. Actually, the biggest challenge you will face is probably the first 100 or 200 people. That will be the hardest for you because it will feel like you're working and doing a lot of work for not a lot of reward. And you have to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. It takes somewhere between 7 and 15 times for somebody to see you to even remember you. 7 and 15 times, somewhere between there. So if you think about it, sometimes people go, I want to be really influential, I want to build my profile, and they do it for a month and give up. And it's just as people start getting active, do people actually start to wake up and remember who these people are? In the social media world, in 2 weeks, somebody can forget who you are. In 2 weeks. So if you disappear for 2 weeks, some people will forget you exist. They won't even remember your name. They won't remember your face. You'll be a distant memory, if that. So you've got to understand that if you want to build those people, you have to work it and be consistent. But we'll come to that in a minute. So the next thing is, you've got all of this. Be yourself. I know I'm teaching you to suck eggs here, but you'd be surprised how many people think they have to do it in a particular way. There are enough personalities out there in the industries and thought leaders in business now that do it differently, that it's much more comfortable for you to just be yourself and do it your way. There are people, hang on, before I go any further. In the fan theory, the 1,000 people is the rough calculation that somebody needs to actually earn a living. To earn a decent living from being a thought leader, you need 1,000 people who really love what you do. Now, that won't happen in a month. That might take 6 to 12 to 18 months to do. But that's what you're trying to do. Cultivate 1,000 people. And that's just the rough number of the fan. I think it's fan theory, Charlie. Fan theory says that if you get 1,000 people, that's the number of people in order to earn a decent living. So 1,000 people. And that could be if you do programs, consulting, what have you. You don't need tens of thousands. You need 1,000 decent people, 1,000 people who really believe in you. 100 can go a long way. Somebody once said to me, to get a video to go viral, you probably only need about 250 people to engage with it. 250 people, because then social media, the algorithms take over and go, wow, this is popular, let's get more people to see it. And so it amplifies out. So it's not a lot of people, but it is a lot of work on the front end to reap that reward of the 1,000 people. And obviously the right people. So be yourself, be yourself. What am I telling you to do here? Be you. People will buy into you. Now, it's important to remember this, is when you've got your end game, yeah? So you've got your end game, and your end game is consulting, is selling more stuff, it's, doing events, training courses, whatever it is you're selling at the end game, that's what people are buying into you, speaking gigs, whatever it is. If people don't buy into you, when you start to talk business, they'll go, who is this person? Who is this person? So you have to be yourself. You have to, warts and all, I'm a northerner. I do things my own way. Some people don't like it. Some people say, no, thanks, Dean. We don't like your training. We'd rather go with something a bit more serious. And that's cool. But you have to find the people, your tribe, the people who get you as you, because otherwise you'll get resentful of trying to be somebody else. And, we're all grown-ups here. We're all adults watching this. But we do this. We put facades on. We put faces on. If you want to be out there as a thought leader in your industry or whatever sector you're choosing, you have to be you. Yeah? Be prepared that some people won't like you. Yeah? Some people won't like you. That's okay too. Now, don't go deliberately provoking people. Don't go and do things to seek attention, which I'm going to come to in a moment. Find your own way to make this work. Find your own way, because as you get through this, that you have to be able to sustain it. You have to be able to sustain it. You have to get into your own routines. And so if you're having to create your persona as well as doing all of the work, you won't be able to keep it up. It will mentally and emotionally drain you. And people, when they get you front of house, and then you start to interact with them outside of front of house, they'll go, this isn't the same person. This isn't the same person I met. So it's important that you get over this now. Don't try and copy other people. It might seem like an easy way to a quick result, but you won't be able to sustain it. You will not be able to sustain it. Find your own way. Do not fake it. Don't fake it till you make it. Doesn't really cut it anymore. So yes, you need the best foot forward. You need a good presentation, but ultimately, don't go down the route of trying to pretend you're something that you're not. Don't try and do things in a silly way. Just be yourself. Really be yourself, because then people buy into you as yourself. You can't disappoint people if you are you. So be yourself. Okay. So we're now going to go into prolific. Now this is going to be the hard part for you. Is everybody still awake here? Everybody still awake? Great. Yes, let me know if you're still awake. You're going to have to be prolific, and I'm going to show you some shortcuts of how you can do this. Being prolific means you have to show up day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, even when it feels like there's very few people actually paying attention. So you're going to have to do something where it feels like you're getting no results for a period of time. If you've ever seen any of our sessions before, I've talked about in a great study by Les Binet and Peter Fielding, there's an example and research about the long and short of it, it's called. It's a research paper called The Long and Short of It. And basically what they say is people effectively, when you focus on very, very short term, you do things that achieve short-term results, but they don't have any lasting benefit. So for an example, there are some people who decide to devote all of their energy into promoting them as a thought leader or as an influencer using paid advertising. So They'll do videos and promote them out. The problem is that you have to get such a spend level to saturate the market that you probably wouldn't warrant keeping it up. I know one person who spent over $1 million promoting himself as a thought leader and achieved it, but he spent $1 million to do it. Now, he's now consulting and charging 6 and 7 figure fees, but if you can't do that level, the problem with social media advertising to promote you is as soon as you stop spending, you vanish, you disappear, and those people forget you. So whilst it might be a quick win, because you get lots of people watching your videos, the memory of you dissipates fast. So when you're being prolific, you need to do it in an organic way to build it up so that you can build a core crowd who actually get you from day one. Don't try and shortcut it to ads. You'll have to spend a lot of money to make that work. A lot of money. The multi-purpose content. So let's say, for an example, we come back over here and we're going to lead the charge on the skills shortage. And you're going to talk about how businesses could empower more young people and be a champions for, say, apprenticeships. Or you may go, actually, I want to really promote Birmingham as a place of manufacturing. I think it's really important we get our manufacturing roots re-established. I'm just using this as an example. If anybody's got any questions, Chris Stewart. Chris, I'll come to overkill in a moment and how prolific this can be and the balance of that I'll come to in a moment. But effectively, you will pick a couple of key issues and you will lead the charge. Now, here's how you make the content once and done. So let's write an article now about attracting businesses to Birmingham. So there's your article. You're going to write a blog, a key blog, and you're going to work hard on that, right? Then you might do a video on that same piece. Then you might do a social media shareable as an example of an image that highlights a key point. Then you might do a little webinar about, or a little group of people together and say, how can we combat this? And you're really trying to raise the profile of the issue. But what you do is you multi-purpose the same content. So you do the video, you do the blog, you do the slides, you do the shareables, you do the written short teaser posts, and then you break those issues out again. So you can go, well, actually my article had 3 points. So now I'm going to write an article about that one key point and build it out. Then I'm going to do a video on it. Then I'm going to do some posts about it. And so one key topic just expands out into this big issue, but it's all come from one source. So depending on which source, which medium you're more comfortable with, you might start with video. So you might do a video explaining why you think these things matter. And then you might go, I want to get this into a blog. So you could use a website translator like rev.com and move that, yes, Charlie, we will. Rev.com and use rev.com to turn your video into text, which you can tidy up into a blog. And then you could go, well, I'll go to fiverr.com and ask some people to make some quotes out of it. And so one piece of content can expand out to be weeks and weeks and months of stuff. Now, in the mix of this prolific, you need to make sure your personality comes across. You can't just be a mindless robot, because people will buy into you. And so if you go all clinical with it and you don't express your personality in it, you will have a problem. Just like, uncomfortable for a British person, I know, and I've had to grapple with this myself, I didn't want to use my photo on it. Every time I see a photo, I need to stop eating the KFC, or I need to just stop doing this, or I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done this. We all overly criticize ourselves, yeah? We all do it. But you're going to have to put your photo on some stuff. I don't mean your photo on everything, but you will need to put your photo out there so that people resonate. You are you, and this is what you're doing. Part of what it is, and we've got a personal branding session in a couple of weeks' time, is about you establishing yourself and aligning yourself with your thoughts. So multi-purpose, the same content. Light bulb moments. What are these light bulb moments? Well, thought leadership generally is about getting people to think about things in a different way. Getting people to think about things in a different way. How can you create moments where people go, I never thought about it like that? That's what gets you interest and credit. That's where people go, this person's worth listening to. So how can you create those things? What are the things that you can look up on your pains that you can solve? What are the things that you can research that people haven't thought of? Has another country solved this in a different way? Could you present that as an alternative and maybe suggest how that could work in Birmingham, for an example? Start bringing insights. Start giving people light bulb moments. So the easiest way is to research what other people have done, how this has been solved elsewhere. Somebody once said to me, there's nothing new under the sun. So your job is not to create new, it's just to present the old in a different way. Miles, a pulse plan of 10 to 15 snippets over a period of time. Yes, you're just creating key messages that roll out, and you might feel like you're repeating or you're a stuck record, but every time you express it, you'll express it in a slightly different way. So every time I do a live webinar and I come on to do a session, I'll say something a little bit different or with a different spin or a different angle. And so people go, I never thought about it like that before. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're just using the different channels, the different messages, and rolling it out into different formats. So frequency matters. So Chris asked earlier, what's overkill? So this is where the home truth comes in. Your overkill of what you think is too much is not enough. And I say that because if you look at the algorithms now of all these social channels, Twitter's life cycle of a tweet is now 18 minutes. It's probably less than that now since the pandemic, but 18 minutes is the life cycle of a post. LinkedIn is about a day, roughly. Facebook is about half a day. What else have we got? Instagram feed, they're saying now recommending 3 or 4 posts a day. Stories are still 24/7, but you can get more of that 24 hours, but you can still get a couple more in of those a day. So you start to look at it and you go, actually, it might feel like I'm doing too much. It might feel like you're doing too much, but you will be forgotten on Twitter in 18 minutes. Now, that doesn't mean post every 18 minutes, but you have to be aware. I think I tweet 5 times a day. I post on my own LinkedIn once a day. I post on my Facebook page 5 times a day. I post on my personal Facebook profile maybe twice a day. So what you're doing, the frequency matters. If you try and do too much, it will come crashing down like a house of cards. When you're posting content, if you decide to create a routine whereby you mix content, so you do some personal stuff, some business stuff, or some thought leadership stuff, that's good balance. And what you can do is recycle some of it. So as you go, you might have this hard uphill struggle of writing all these posts. But once you've got to a certain level, you can ease back on the new content and recycle to fill out the schedules. So don't obviously recycle the same post every day, although on Twitter, some people do that and it's quite successful. On other channels, I wouldn't encourage it. Some news websites actually repeat the same news articles over and over again each day. But I would focus on recycling content, build some up and recycle. Yeah, Charlie, that's a brilliant way. You could do, and we've started to do that a little bit, of doing longer pieces. So every session we do is recorded, and the team will take elements of this and snip it into sessions and snip it into little things. The key thing is to make sure you've got the production quality to be able to reuse it. when we started doing this, we used mobile phones and I did face to camera, and it was shocking compared to what we do now. But that's how we started, and we worked up from it. And people, even 3 years ago, this is fascinating. I went to an event in Bristol, small event, 20 odd people, 3 years ago, and somebody come up to me and went, "Hi, Dean." I had no idea who that person was. And they said, "I love your garden videos." And what I used to do is I used to put my phone in a selfie and wander around my garden talking to the camera about key things that I thought were important. Even with all this kit that you might think you need, you just start. Just start. Emails. Miles is asking about emails. Emails, they are good. We've eased off emails, despite we only send one email a week of information and resources. If you sign up for a webinar, you will get reminders for the webinar, but we only send one email a week. That's because we found during the pandemic, people are more likely to ignore emails. So we thought, well, why send more emails if it's going to annoy people or they're just going to ignore it anyway? And Charlie says the key word is to start. It's to start and keep going even when you feel like it doesn't work. You'll only learn by trying. I put a group of our accelerator students on a task, and I said to them they're going to write a post. Dave, I'll answer your question in a minute. We've actually got 3 cameras here at the moment. I asked our accelerator students to do a challenge, and I helped them write what I call the twist the knife post. Twist the knife. It's where you talk about a pain that an industry or customer base has, or target prospect base has, and you twist that knife on that content so tightly that they have to respond. And everybody who's done it has had inbound inquiries as a result. And so it's just becoming a master of your topic. And people respond to pain and outcome. Pain and outcome. Dave Strickland, we use Canon some things, images. Hang on. I can't tell. I can't tell what they are. But Dave, if you email us, I'll tell you what they are. But we've got one here, and then there's another one upstairs which I'll be on live with our accelerator students later. So you need the frequency. Right, this is really, really important if you're still with me. Everybody still with me in the chat? Because this is really, really important. Don't do palm trees. Don't do palm trees. Everybody write this down. Don't do palm trees. Now, why am I saying don't do palm trees? This is an Instagram thing. And lots of people get addicted to this, and you see it on LinkedIn too. So what it is, it's where you do things that you know will get you views. It's, you know that certain things will get you engagement, and so you do them deliberately to get engagement. So you see some people doing funny videos, and to a degree you can break up your LinkedIn and stuff with that. Some people do complaining posts where they bitch about somebody. The problem is they don't actually help you. You get this temporary lift in views, and I know somebody who says they've built their audience to over 50,000 people on LinkedIn. And awesome, well done. Whenever they try and post or promote something or talk about something substantive, zero. There's nothing there. I know somebody who's told me they got 20,000 connections on LinkedIn. When we looked at who in their market they could actually sell to and build relationships with, they could influence, guess what? There was 38. So the don't do palm trees is from, if you go on Instagram, launch an account now and start taking pictures of palm trees. Just go do it. Just a little experiment. Go do pictures of palm trees. And I've made this mistake with my Instagram. So if you find my Instagram, I've made this mistake. And I'm still paying for this mistake like 5 years later. Because what I did is I did a load of fun stuff on my Instagram years ago, ages ago. I've deleted it all now. And got this big crowd and then pivoted to what I do now. And none of them are interested. Don't do it. And the theory is you go do the palm tree thing, beautiful imagery, amazing imagery, inspirational quotes, and then you pivot to what you really want to talk about and 0 people are interested. It's like everybody's left town. So don't do palm trees. Focus on the topics that really matter to you and build your crowd around them so that when you do something, they take action. Now, I'm a bit of a sci-fi buff. Some of you will know this because if you've seen me at my desk, I've got all the sci-fi memorabilia behind my desk. I've got a second Instagram where all I do is post Star Trek things. And I get tons and tons of stuff, like thousands and thousands of people interacting with it. I've not been on it for a little while, but I get tons of activity. If I then transition that to Dean Maverrik, it would disappear. It would literally evaporate over a few days. So don't fall into the palm trees trap. If you're going to go on LinkedIn and talk about making manufacturing great again in Birmingham, do it. Go connect with manufacturers in Birmingham. Go connect with people who are interested in that and talk about it. Let them see your ideas. Let them see the things that you think could be done better. Share your content. Break it down into different resources, PDFs, images, all of that stuff. Do it. Eric, I love your palm trees in Miami. I was hoping to get there in July, and it's still question mark whether I'll get there. So here's the other thing. Don't follow the likes, learn from the likes. So often we rate our success of our post by likes. It's only the likes from the people who matter that matter. So you can learn from your likes. Look at the people engaging with your posts. Yes, Dave Strickland. Sometimes there's a smart element of using titles to provoke interest and curiosity. But if you just do things to grab attention, sensationalize, that's all you get. And actually, that's quite a tricky thing to pull off. So a lot of people on social channels that have built up these big crowds of palm tree lovers are having to resort to more and more sensationalistic methods to get people's attention. And what you want is people to value your attention because of the substance of you, the substance that you have. Yes, you have to do all of the stuff that needs to make social media work, but it's about the substance of your message that will override any of that element of sizzle that other people are doing. You need a bit of sizzle in terms of creating compelling stories, talking about pains and stuff. But if you just follow the likes, chase likes, you end up appealing to a crowd. You end up following the crowd rather than leading a crowd. And the only way to lead the crowd is to step out, be yourself, and say, this is what I think is important, this is what I think matters. And people will buy into you because of what you've said and who you are. Not a very popular message when you can go on Instagram and do palm trees, but palm trees don't pay the bills unless you go on and become a palm tree influencer where you take pictures of yourself under different palm trees with products. Take action. So we're now going to look at some action, right? What channels are you going to use? Just pick 2. I focused on for the best part of 4 years on one channel, and I built my LinkedIn solid. Yeah, I've really worked hard on LinkedIn, and now what ended up happening is because I built my LinkedIn so well, our business expanded off my LinkedIn saying, how can you help me sell? How can you help me grow my business through LinkedIn? Now I'm focusing on other channels as well, but I'm not dropping the ball on LinkedIn. I'm trying to bring the others up, but focus on a couple of channels, maybe 2 or maybe 1. Make one work really well. So if you're in a B2B environment, obviously Twitter and LinkedIn are good, but Facebook, personal profile's pretty good. Check out some of our resources on Facebook B2B. There's some free stuff out there. There's some books on it. We've got them on our website. You can do B2B on Facebook. And one of our accelerator students did B2B on Facebook, got a £50,000 proposal out of it. So all the channels work, but pick one. Build it up, focus on it. Really make it something you're proud of. Really put the effort into it. Remember 7 to 15 times for people to even remember your name. So by the time you're fed up of saying something, people are just remembering who you are. They're just remembering what you're talking about. Grow your audience. Map out who your audience is. We've got some worksheets on how to do this stuff, by the way. So if you want this thought leadership worksheet, it's just a series of questions that helps you think and crystallize this in more detail. Just email us and we'll send it to you. It'll probably be tomorrow now because we're going to wrap up in about 13 minutes and I'm going to go home after my next team call. But if you want our thought leadership worksheet, just email us hi@maverrik.co.uk and we'll send it to you. It's free of charge. We're not looking to sell you anything. It's free. So grow your audience. Map out who are the people who are passionate about this issue. Margaret says she's into Deep Space Nine. Yeah, I never thought I'd get into Enterprise, but never mind. And then, so grow the audience, connect with more people in that industry, friend requests, go into the groups if you're on Facebook, interact with more people, and then do interactive. What do I mean by do interactive? Go and engage with the people that you're connecting with, your friend requesting. Go and interact with what they're doing. If you're in groups, go and interact with what's going on in the groups. Be in the middle of every discussion, not to dominate it, but be involved in it. This might sound like a lot of work, but if you want to be able to leverage thought leadership as a way to grow business, grow influence, get more consulting, speaking, podcasts, all that kind of stuff, if that's what you want, you need to put the work in. There is no scenario in real life where you get an easy win from doing nothing. The average YouTuber does about 150 to 200 videos before they even ever break 1,000 likes, 1,000 views. 150 to 200 before they ever get 1,000 views. So just bear in mind that there's this human instinct to try and shortcut. But the real value you'll create in this, in becoming that social thought leader, is actually doing it over the long term. It might take 3 months before anybody even notices you. LinkedIn, you can do it a bit quicker. Facebook, maybe you can do that a bit quicker as well. Twitter, it's a lot of hard slog. But if you're not prepared to do the hard slog, you probably don't deserve to be a social thought leader. Sorry. It is hard work. It is a commitment. It is a cause you have to be passionate about. So focus on a few channels, grow your audience, go and interact in groups with the people you're connecting with, the people you're friend requesting, join the groups, go onto forums. If there's magazines, submit comments, submit letters. If there's new industry magazines, why don't you write an article and share it with a journalist from there? Be more proactive. You'll find if you provide resources to journalists, they'll actually pay attention. If you send corporate propaganda, they'll ignore you. But if you say, look, I'm really interested in this topic of the skills shortage in manufacturing in Birmingham, send it to your business editor of your local newspaper. Send it to the Birmingham stuff. Send it to the industry magazine for manufacturers. Send it to the manufacturing groups. Show up at the manufacturing groups. If they've got Zoom calls, go do them. Put in the time to build the network and the relationships so people recognize you for what you do, see how you can add value to people's worlds, and it will work. But it starts with the content and mapping out your positioning. Mapping out your positioning. Greg Walter said, own .com blog. Yeah, a blog is good, but what I would encourage you to do, Greg, before you start building a blog and a website, if you can do it on a social channel, so for an example, Medium is good, because some people get obsessed with websites. A website is never finished. And so you can spend a huge ton of time building out this website that you hold off doing everything else until that's just right. So if you're struggling, go to medium.com, LinkedIn, you can do articles on there. You can do articles on Facebook pages and share them. So there's loads of different ways you can do it. But Greg, I agree with you. You need long form content and ideally housed somewhere. But I would encourage you, first of all, to make sure you've built out a social channel and don't get lost in building websites. They have their place and they're important, but they can be a distraction as you're getting this going. Okay, so interactive is really, really important. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions? If you email us, we'll send the slides. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sure you have a million, but I'm happy to answer questions if you're interested. Anybody got any questions? Greg, I would say long term you need a blog or you need somewhere to house it all. Absolutely. But I think if you're going to leverage social media, that's the thing that you do. Behind me, if you want some more information on this, you can go to our website or you can email us. We have our revenue sprints and we have a thought leadership module in that where you can sprint to do this and build something up in 90 days, and we help you build the content and all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, you can drop us a line. But does anybody have any more questions tonight? I won't leave until you ask your questions, so I'm here. And nothing's off limits. Well, my personal life is. But if there's questions you want to ask about LinkedIn or Facebook or any other things. Medium. So Medium is a blogging website. It's a blogging network. So you can post on there. And you can write long form articles that you can share on Twitter and various different places. So it's a bit like a blog site. How important is showing your SME in your profile before sharing content? Graham, I'm not sure what you mean by showing your SME in your profile before sharing content. I would absolutely make sure, Graham, that you have optimized whatever profile you're using. The presentation is good. It's all well presented. Visually, it looks good. So if you're, we have a profile optimization check sheet. If you want that, you can email us. Greg, what do I see the future of LinkedIn to be? I've had a few conversations with LinkedIn, not in detail, because obviously their business plan is their business plan, but all social media platforms evolve. So LinkedIn 5 years ago was more, 10 years ago was more like a CV site. Then it became a little bit more like a blogging stroke CV site. And now it's like a professional social media network. It will change. It will morph. But the fundamentals of it is that LinkedIn is a business-to-business social network. The whole rise of fake profiles, the rise of people sending pushy sales pitches damage LinkedIn? It might a little bit, but LinkedIn's getting better at dealing with that. They're rolling out new features to stop people just churning people to try and sell stuff. So that's going to be knocked out. LinkedIn's brought in stories. They're working on new groups. So it will all change. Coco, I love LinkedIn, so I'm obviously biased. It really depends where your crowd is that you can get in front of the most. So Twitter's obviously a no-brainer. It's a bit harder because you can't build a community as easily as, say, Facebook and LinkedIn. But they all have their places and they can all be leveraged. It's just about time. There's no paid shortcut you can make. Even down to some people will do press releases to try, pay a fortune for press releases. But if you don't have the stuff out there that people bite onto and engage with, you don't build the fans, you don't build the crowd who believe in what you're saying and who advocate you. So, thank you, Graham, I'm watching. So it's really, really important that you, if you want to do this, you actually invest the time. You may not see a return on this time in a month, but I've got people coming to me who've been connected with me for 2 or 3 years and said, I'm meaning to talk to you. I've seen you for years. And in fact, one person, I don't know whether Nick's on still now. Chris, I'll answer your question. Nick was on to me earlier today, booked a call with me, talk about what we can do and how we can help. And in that call, he said, I've never met you, but I feel like I know you because you've been in my LinkedIn feed forever. And that's one of the values of being prolific. It's one of the benefits of actually putting yourself out there and sharing your thoughts about particular issues. People resonate with it, they understand you, and they trust you and build that rapport with you, even though you don't know them. Chris, what formats are working well on LinkedIn at the moment? So LinkedIn's changed the way it works. So videos seem to not do as well as they used to. So the key things that work at the moment and again, this is a big change, is GIFs. I found a lot of success with GIFs, and I found a lot of success with PDFs, swipe files. So bite-sized information put on slides that basically you scroll through, and maybe there's one sentence or a couple of sentences on each slide as you go through. So it's easy to read on a mobile, but it's just quick succession swipe files. They do very, very well. On social media, remember the key thing, you've got to keep people on the post. You've got to get people to stop in the feed, and you've got to get people to stay for longer than 3 seconds. What do you think about sharing personal articles on LinkedIn concerning the business you are in? What if the company does not agree with you publishing personal articles on LinkedIn? So this is where there's a hard and difficult road on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, your profile is your personal profile. So anything you put on there, you can say what you want. However, if you're employed, you may find that your employer is unhappy if you bring them into disrepute with any of your comments or any of your content. So Marcel, I would always balance that you should share the right things, but always balance that with, if you're working for somebody else, you should be checking that it won't bring them into disrepute. So if you want to share thoughts, that's fine. But remember that some people may construe your thoughts as representing your employer. And so I would always understand that balance. You are a human being and you should be able to say things in your own way, but you are responsible for anything you say to your employer. So what's handy is, what you don't want to do is go the opposite way and only post what your employer says, because then your personality will be lost. It's easy to sit down with maybe a manager and say, look, I can't be a corporate robot, because people will see through that, and they will. I want to use my LinkedIn to do well for the business, but I also want that freedom to be able to share it in my own way. Where's the common ground? And I find that if you have that conversation first, it will probably help you a little bit in trying to negotiate, because then you can say, well, I don't want to do that, but I'm happy to do this, and you can agree a common ground. Katie, how do you do swipe files? So the easiest way to do a swipe file is this. Think of it like PowerPoint. And you can go into PowerPoint and you can set your template as square. Square's the best format because it's bigger for the feed. And then on PowerPoint, each slide, remember it's on a mobile phone. I haven't got my phone here. It's a mobile phone. So you can't put too much text in it because it'll be harder to read. And you want to really get attention and land messages clearly and concisely. So you could go 8 slides with 4 key points on it and a call to action at the end, and just save it as a PDF. That's the easiest way to do it. Marcel, I'll give you some honest feedback. The companies where they try to control, in other words, they try to approve everything that somebody puts out, I mean everything, is where you can end up getting nowhere. The companies that do nothing, it's a mess. And there is a middle ground where the employees respect they're representing the employer, and the company respects that they can't just get people to be a propaganda machine. So that's where the middle ground is. And if you go one way or the other, it won't work. Charlie, so I'm going to answer your question here. Controversy does get attention. It gets lots of attention. So if you go on LinkedIn and call somebody out, so if you went on LinkedIn tomorrow and ripped into me, you would get a ton of attention. The problem is, it would be people, like people looking at car crashes, yeah? People who just stop and look at car accidents. What do they call it? Rubbernecking? You familiar? Rubbernecking, where they just go, You get lots of people like that. The problem is, who would want to deal with you if that's how you treat people? And so you can get a lot of attention, a lot of crowd for it, ripping into people and criticizing other people. I just don't think it makes good business. I just don't think it makes you a credible person to work with. And I've seen lots of people build careers off it, but some people are very reluctant to do business with them. Any other questions? There's no problem challenging things that are in the public space. Yeah. So if there's a news article you disagree with, there's no problem sharing that. It's when it gets personal that it's a bad way to go. It might be popular, it might be a great way to get views and likes, but don't chase palm trees. You want people to respect you for your insight. Yeah. Any more for any more? No? So one final request. If you're watching on LinkedIn, please follow our company page. That would be awesome. And if you're watching on YouTube or wherever else, please subscribe, follow, do all that stuff. And if you want any of the resources from tonight that I've mentioned, the thought leadership piece, the thought leadership worksheet, or the other worksheet I said about profile optimization or the checklist, please do email us and we'll send those to you. It will be tomorrow now just because of the time of night here in the UK. But thank you for watching. I hope you've got value from this. If you want the replay and everything, email us, we'll send it tomorrow. And next week we've got another session, same time. Go to our LinkedIn company page or to our Eventbrite page and you can register, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 7.